Pranams, everybody. Welcome to week number 7 of Tattvabodha. I just realized it says Atmabodha series, but this is Tattvabodha. We have Tattvabodha number 7. And this week we're looking at what is the gross body, why does it matter, and how is it analyzed? Okay? Because in Vedanta, we do Atma Vichara or self-inquiry. And at the moment, as an Ajnani, we would take the self to be the body, the gross body. And this lecture is introducing that we have 3 bodies that are classified as Anatma. That's the first way that it presents Anatma to us. The second way that it presents Anatma to us is with the 5 koshas, and the third way that it presents Anatma to us is the 3 avastas, or the 3 states of experience. So this week, those 3 things, 3, 5, 3, totaling 11 things, the 11 anatmas are what we use for self-inquiry. So these are what we look at. Okay, and then the question becomes Atma Kaha. What is the self? And what is this Anatma? Anatma Kaha. Okay, that's much nicer. Look at that. Okay. So what exactly is the self? So the qualification section's done. We know what sadhana chatushtayam sampattihi is. It's the 4 Ds. It is discrimination, detachment, desire, and discipline, or viveka, vairagyam, shatkasampatti, and mumukshutvam. So that's sadhana chatushtayam. We've covered that. And now that we've covered the qualifications for self-knowledge, we're asking, what is the self? Atmakaha. What is the self? And anatmakaha. What is the not self? So the key move here in this lecture is to know the Atma very clearly, and also we need to clarify what is anatma. Why? So that we can discriminate between the two. So we're moving from qualifications to discrimination, or Atma Vicharaha. Atma Kaha, Anatma Kaha. Kaha means what? So the teacher's method, he does not just define everything in a vague sentence. The person is broken down into layers. So what are those layers? That's 3, 5, 3. That's the 11 anatmas. It is Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira. It's the Panchakoshas, and it's the Avastha Trayam, the 3 avasthas, the 3 states of experience. And we do this, why? As I said, so that we can carefully study each part. And we can confirm there is no Atma in this Anatma, and we will be directed towards that Atma. Okay, and this makes the teaching very precise. It's systematized. It's easy to follow. It's one foot in front of the other. All we have to do is show up, learn about this material, and then analyze our own experiences, and we will see through the illusion. Okay, so the bottom takeaway here is that this layering, this 3, 5, 3, is used for clarity. The person is not really fragmented. These are components that we're using for analysis. Okay, same as when we're talking about water. We can say the water is wet. We can say the water is fluid. We can say it moves and it takes the shape of any cup that it takes, and all of these things. Using these, we can analyze water. Okay, so we're fragmenting our body in that way. Okay, so we fragmented water into wet, into fluid, into XYZ. That's what we're doing here. So the Shastra uses 3 ways to analyze Anatma, and all 3 are being introduced in this week's lecture. And here we go. Anatma Vibhagaha. So what is the division, the divided 3 groups? I've already explained. It's 353. 3 Sharira Trayam, that's the body, Stula Sukshmakara and Shariram. We have the Panchakoshas. And we have the Avastha Trayam. Okay, so we have Stula Sukshmakara and Sharira, the Koshas, and the Avastha Trayam. And now that we understand this, upon analysis, we will be able to remove the blur of what is Anatma and what is Atma for the sake of Atma Vicharaha. So the first group, Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. These 3 together are called Sharira Trayam, the threefold bodies. This is the first major division of an Atma. So before we come to know the Atma, we must know what is an Atma. Why? Because once we learn what is an Atma, we take that away. And what's left is the Atma, because Atma itself can't be objectified. So we're learning what is Anatma to reveal the Atma in an indirect way. Second group is the Panchakosha. So we have Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. The 5 koshas. Pancha means 5. So Panchakam is the 5-fold kosha being sheath or covering or layer. So it's the 5-layered personality structure. Okay, Annamaya is the Anna means food. If we want to be literal, it means food. So that's the food body. The food body is the physical body. So tap your head. That is Annamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha. Prana is what controls all of the vital energies. It's prana is the vital energy, so it's feeding the mind and the organs and everything with prana. Manomaya is the mind. Vijnanamaya is the intellect, and Anandamaya Kosha is the causal body, or the Ananda sheath. Okay. So we can see an interesting overlap in the Sharira Trayam and the Panchakosha. So Sharira Trayam, the first one is Sthula Shariram. That's the physical body. That's this one. Annamaya Koshaha. The second body is Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body. So that's actually the middle 3. Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Koshaha. Okay, so that's the subtle body. And then the third body was Karana Sharira, the causal body. That is the Anandamaya Koshaha. Okay, so all these models are presenting the Anatma, and so they're doing it in their own ways, but the thing they're explaining is the same thing, so we expect that overlap. That's what I'm showing you here. There is overlap because what we're describing is anatma. Annamaya kosha, solid body, okay? Sthula shariram. Pranamaya manomaya vijnanamaya koshaha, subtle, okay? So we have prana, we have the mind, and we have the intellect. This is subtle, okay? Sukshma shariram. Anandamaya kosha, this is the causal body, okay? So the bottom takeaway is we're layered. What we're learning is the different layers. We're learning the layers so that we can study them. The third group is avasthatrayam, the three states of experience. We have jagrat avastha, that's waking. Okay, so again, sthulam, we're awake. Everything that you look at is solid. Okay? Sthula. It's a sthula world. Swapna avastha, Taijasa, the dream world, Hiranyagarbha. This is subtle. This is the dream world. It's a world made of the mind. It's a world made of vrittis. Okay, so this is subtle. And Sushupti Avastha, deep sleep. This gets mapped to Karana Sharira and Anandamaya Koshaha. Okay, so, and the bottom takeaway here is, these are also included in Anatma, okay? We have the 353 structure, the total map of Anatma. Now we count them. 3 bodies, 5 sheaths, 3 states, totaling 11. So, the teacher has given us 11 components, all belonging to an Atma. This is important because these are the shells, okay? Not the essence. So this is what's being stripped away, the Anatma, via what? Neti. Bottom takeaway is the lecture has now listed the full field of Anatma. Okay, so 353, that is the full field of Anatma. There is no other Anatma to talk about. Okay, so Atma Kaha, then what is the Atma? It's different from the 11. The teacher's answer begins negatively first, okay? Different from Shariratrayam, beyond Kosha Panchakam, the witness of Avasthatrayam. So in all of these, it's beyond, okay? So it's a negative explanation. We're not explaining by presenting it and saying, this is Atma. We're presenting you a bunch of stuff and saying, this is not Atma. So whatever else is in your experience, take all this away. What's left? That's Atma. It's different from, so the Atma is, I'm just trying to track where I'm at with this slide here. My brain was going along a different track. Different from, so Atma is not one more object in the list. Yes, so Atma is not in this list of Anatma. Atma is the reason that this other list of 11 is knowable. So once we subtract the 11, what's left is the knower. So as long as we understand that Atma is not another layer, it's the witness of the layers, then this has been understood. Core definitions, okay, here's the Sanskrit. Atma is described as Sthula Sukshma Karna Sharirat Yatiriktaha. So the way that that's written there, Sharirat, you'll notice that is not Sharira. Sharirat, the way that's written, is grammatically saying from the Shariras. So Sthula Sukshma Karana Shariras, so from those 3 Shariras, Yatiriktaha, it's different. Which ones? Panchakoshatitaha, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Satchidananda Swarupaha. Okay, that's the Sanskrit definitions. Okay. Simply put, it is not the 3 bodies. Simply put, it is not limited by the 5 sheaths. Simply put, it is the witness of Avasthatraya Sakshi, and it is the nature of Satchidananda. Bottom takeaway, the self is known by separation from an Atma and by its own nature. And now a new problem has appeared. The answer has created more questions. The teacher has answered the student, but in giving that answer, more topics have come. What is Shariratrayam? What is Koshapanchakam? What is Avasthatrayam? What is Satchidananda? So now the lecture has to expand on these one by one, okay? Which we've done very lightly. Sthula Shariram Kim. It's from the first group, the Shariratrayam, the three bodies, and it's the first member, Sthula Shariram. So the student asks, Sthula Shariram Kim, what is the gross body? What is this food layer that I'm experiencing? Okay, so we start with the gross. You'll notice in Vedanta we always start big, then we go to medium, and then we go to very, very fine. Okay, so they give you something you can see, something you can grasp, and then they make it a little bit finer, and then they reduce it even further. So that's the approach. So that's what we're doing here. You can see that operating in the Sampradaya. You can see this coming down from the Guru and from the texts. They're starting at the gross body. The teacher explains that the Sthula Shariram has four angles to be viewed from: the cause, the function, the condition, and the nature. So the bottom takeaway is that this is not just a one-line definition. This is going to be another structured analysis of the gross body. Now, the gross body has got a samanya karanam and a vishesha karanam. Samanya means general cause. Okay? So, a general cause for the rain could be that the sun hits bodies of water and sucks it up into the sky. A specific cause for rain could be that as the clouds come over the coastline and hit the high altitude mountains, science happens and things condense and water drops. Okay, so I don't know how that works exactly, but that's the example. There's a general cause and there's a specific cause. So the general cause for our birth in a solid body is the 5 elements that the universe is made of. We have Akasha, space, Vayu, which is wind or air, Agni, which is heat principle, Jala, which is water, and Prithvi, which is earth. Okay, now these are principles. They're not actually saying fire and wind and, dirt for earth. They're talking about the properties that they have, okay? And the specific cause for the birth of the body is our past karmas. Okay, so the general cause is the elements, but there's a specific cause. It's what we've done in the past. It determines the type and the quality of the body that we're going to have. Okay? Samanya karanam, vishesha karanam. And the gross body has a function, bhogayatanam. The gross body is described as sukha dukhadi bhogayatanam. And that means sukha dukhadi, that means happiness and sorrow, etc. And then bhoga, experience, ayatanam, the abode of. So it's the abode of experiences of happy, sad, and etc. So that means through the body, the jiva undergoes the pleasure, the sukham, and the pain, the dukkham, and the mixed experiences, the adi. So the body is a temporary residence for experience. Bottom takeaway, body is not the self. This is an instrument and a location of experience, bhoga. And the nature of the gross body. Okay, so it has 6 modifications, and they are existence, birth, growth, transformation, decline, and death. We have asti, jayate or janya, vardhate or growth. We have viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. Okay, so that's the 6 modifications the body will go through. We do exist, we do get born, we grow, we transform and we mature, and then we slowly decline and we die. So that's the complete explanation of the Sthula Shariram. Okay? It's perceptible, not just to yourself. You can perceive your mind. I can't perceive your mind. I can perceive your subtle, your gross body though. Your Sthula Shariram. I can perceive that. You can perceive mine. It's changing. It is temporary. It is anatma. Okay? So, that is the end of the lecture series here with the slides. Now, I did organize some flashcards here because I was struggling to get all of these slides done with the amount of topics there. I still want to touch on the devatas and the world manifesting through the sense organs. So I'm going to do another recap really quickly now with you guys on these flashcards. So starting simple, what's the basic teaching of Vedanta about the self and about the world? Atma alone is Satyam. Satyam means real or truth. Everything other than Atma is Mithya. Okay, why is it Mithya? It's Mithya because Mithya means dependent. Why is it dependent? Because Anatma is born out of Atma. So Anatma does not have its own existence. This is why Swami was talking about the wooden desk and the clay and the gold. Okay, I won't touch on those now because we're going to have revision during this sheet here, so we'll wait for that. Keep you in suspense so that you keep listening. Okay, what are the 2 broad parts of every individual, according to the lecture? Atma and Anatma. So note there, Atma hasn't been listed as something different to you. It's saying you now, right now, are 353, you are Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira, you are the Panchakosha, and you are the experiencing the Avastatrayam. There is the 11 Anatma, but mixed in there somewhere is Atma. That's what we're trying to find. What belongs to Anatma in this teaching? The 3 bodies, the 5 koshas, the 3 states of experience. This has been touched a lot and needs no explanation. What are the 3 bodies? Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. What are the 3 states that Atma witnesses? Okay, so we're talking about Avastha Trayam. It's the waking dream, and deep sleep. Why is the body not the real self? Because it's an object of experience, it's changing, and it is known. Atma is not an object of experience. It does not change, and it is the knower. What is the gross body made of? The 5 gross elements, born out of Panchikarana, which is coming in the next lecture, I think. So, 5 elements. What are the 6 modifications that we mentioned? Birth, jayate or janya, existence, asti. We have growth, which was vardhate. Change, which is viparinamate. Decay, apakshiyate, and death, vinashyati, mrityuhu. Okay, so that's the way that these have been presented in this lecture. There's a good recap there, so I hope that's helpful. What is the gross body mainly for? According to the lecture, it is the temporary abode for experience. It is a bhoga ayatanam. How does the lecture define Atma? That which is different from the 3 bodies, the Sharira Trayam, beyond the 5 koshas, the Panchakosha, and the witness, the Sakshi of the Avastha Trayam, the Avastha Traya Sakshi, and it is of the nature of Satchidananda, Sat Chit Ananda Swarupaha. Okay, so this is where I wanted to add a little bit more attention. What is the point of saying that the senses have devatas behind them? It shows that experience is not just a physical event. There is a subtler order behind seeing and hearing and the rest. Okay, so let's say you're sitting down and you're reading a book. And behind you goes a train. The train does go past, the train does make noise, the train even blows its horn, but you didn't notice it at all. You're immersed in the book. But there's a person next to you and they heard the train. Noise came from the train. You both have ears. One person heard the train, the other didn't. Why? Because according to this lecture, the ears are not the instrument of hearing. The instrument of hearing is in the mind. Okay? And when the instrument of hearing attaches to the ear, now we have the function of hearing. The reason you didn't hear the train is because the hearing instrument was not connected to the ear. Your mind had withdrawn that sense and was focusing on the book. Okay? Very peculiar. So how does the idea of devatas help to dismantle the idea of a purely solid world? It shows that the world of experience is not exhausted by visible matter alone. Okay? Even ordinary perception depends on subtle governing principles. Okay? So what it's saying is, when we hear things like Agni, we're not talking about fire itself. We're talking about the principle of heat. There's heat in your body. Okay, Swami mentioned that in the lecture. There is devatas that preside over the indriyams, or the mind's organs that attach to the sense organs, the solid sense organs. Okay, so for sight, we say that the total seeing power, the ability to see, the fact that seeing exists, not just in me, but in existence itself. That is called Suryaha. Okay? The fact that we have any sort of sense of touch at all, they attribute that to Vayuhu, the wind deity. So we can see straight away that we're not using the deities to be actual creators. The deities are actually helping to explain our experience. Swami even says in the lecture, we never actually experience any material world. All we ever experience is sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, adi, etc. Okay, so we experience color, we experience taste, we experience touch, we experience smell. We never experience directly any form of material. Okay? So the way the Tattvabodha has begun to dismantle a solid and real world is by withdrawing the gods from their role of being creators. The gods are being pulled away from a role of creating a real and solid world, and instead they're being used in a way that explains the appearance and experience of a world. And all of these devatas collapse into Ishvara only. Okay? So, for learning purposes, you think of it this way. A boss of a company holds all the power of the company, but he delegates the power off. Alright? He delegates the power. He hires a manager, he hires a CEO, he hires janitors, he hires everything, and everybody gets a specific job. So they're saying that Ishvara has hired a staff, and that staff runs the cosmos. Now they've retracted that, and they're saying that staff helps to manifest the cosmos into our experience, not necessarily as a real and solid world. Okay, so that dismantling of a solid world has begun. And it's true, I'll tell you right now, in 100% truth, that this world has not manifested in the exact same way twice. Why? I'm sure you're dying to ask. Can I say that so confidently? The answer is that my ears, my eyes, my nose, and my sense organs are different to yours. Not just that, their mind is different. My mind, the way I grew up, what I learned about the world, what emotions and knowledge I have attached to the world around me is different. Okay? So my nose is probably not all that different to your nose, but my nose is a lot different to a dog's nose. My eyes are a lot different to a dog's eyes. Okay? My mind is a lot different to a dog's mind. I remember when I was very first starting to study Vedanta, I was in the backyard watching my dog barking at the neighbor who was hanging out there washing. And I was thinking, isn't it funny that he doesn't realize that that fence means that's their side? In the dog's world, that person is an intruder doing something in their area. And his intellect, okay, this comes down to intellect. His intellect isn't smart enough to divide the world in such a way that he understands there's a barrier and that what's on our side is ours and what's on their side is theirs. So his world is completely different. It's black and white. The language isn't understood. the senses and ears are all heightened and operate differently. The way that he thinks is different. Everything's different. And this doesn't just go from species to species. This goes from person to person as well. My world is completely different to any of your worlds. Not because my eyes are different to yours or anything like that, but what I know about the world is the world. What I'm seeing isn't necessarily the world, it's what I attach to what I'm seeing. But the thing is, what I'm seeing is not the same thing that you're seeing either. Because what I'm seeing is a rendition. It's the mind organizing the information coming in through the sense organs, and then it presents it to me as an image. And the Atma is aware of all this. It's watching it all happen. So I can say to you with complete confidence, out of the 7 billion people in the world, the same world has never occurred. Not even twice. There is 7 billion unique worlds in just the humans, not to mention all the jivas, all the germs, all the ants, all the birds, all the viruses, everything. We're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of versions of the same shared experience. We can't call it really a solid universe. It's a shared experience. Who is the shared experience? Ishvara. So that's what's being dismantled here. I hope that makes sense. If the eye is the only physical organ, what does the Devata teaching add? It adds that perception is not explained by the eyeball alone. The gross organ is only part of the setup, okay? So that's our train example. The eyeball or the ear is there, but we didn't hear the train. That's because the ear is only part of the setup. We still require the inner instruments to attach. Why does Vedanta bring in subtler layers like the Sukshma Sharira and the Devata instead of stopping with the physical body to show that what we call the world and the person is more layered than simply the solid material model suggests? Okay, so that's what I just explained there. What's the main takeaway from this section of the lecture? What seems to be a solid and independent person and a solid and independent world is actually a layered appearance. Atma alone is independent reality. Okay, so out of the trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of versions of the world, the only one thing that really is truly constant is Atma. I hope I generated lucidity in those final notes rather than complicating things. That's it for today, guys. That's all I have for you. That was week number 7 of Tattvabodha. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hari Om.